Still HE. And... Oh, what a first salvo! Hey guys, welcome back to World of Warships. Today we are playing the Vermont, simply because I felt like it. I've been missing these devastating salvos. I've been wanting to play a battleship that just smashes broadsides, and Vermont is essentially the best at it in the entire game. This ship has incredibly good dispersion, as well as 457s with huge alpha damage, and a long reload. That is the downside with this ship, but absolutely incredible when you get the right positioning. This ship will deliver almost every single time. And I am not joking. That was my very first salvo of the day into that St. Louis. Very lucky, but also that's just Vermont. That's just what this ship does. It's an absolutely awesome battleship at tier 10. If you haven't got it already, definitely grind it out. It is well worth it. Those tier 8 and 9s can be a little bit stinky to get through, but the tier 10 is absolutely incredible. Now moving on to our featured game of today, we're going to be playing this ship and playing it a little further back. We're not going to push in so aggressively here as we're spawning in the middle of the map. Don't want to get crossfired into oblivion and then just focused by the carrier. And notice I'm holding my shot here. I'm still not shooting, by the way, because these angles, 40, 50 degree angles, any sort of rudder movement on these cruisers can make your salvos miss very, very easily. As well as those torpedoes on their way, likely he's going to touch his rudder and our shells could easily miss. We're never going to reload in time if we waste our salvo like that. So it's more important to hold on. Just hold the guns, wait for that moment that they're going to go broadside. They won't always, but in this case, I assumed this guy was going to try to get under the safety of the island. And we spot our spotter plane just to get a very clear shot at his broadside. And we get ourselves a double citadel. Not quite the full dev strike this time, unfortunately, but still an absolutely wonderful salvo, which our teammates managed to finish off. Libertad is going to be angled, so we hold our salvo. Maybe I hold too much, but I want to wait for those perfect opportunities, man. It's so satisfying. Yamagiri pushing through, and he's very broadside. AP may not do full pen damage, but enough overpens is a lot of damage indeed. These shells are absolutely massive, and I am using heavy AP here. I'm a very greedy build on the Vermont here. Heavy AP, as well as running the legendary upgrade, which is in the 5th slot, which maybe is not the best thing to run always, as you can't take concealment then. But it does give us a little better reload on our main guns, allowing us to get this shot in on this Libertad. We aren't going to Citadel Libertad, unfortunately, but at these ranges, we have enough consistency to get a lot of full pens and hopefully finish them off. And that means we've pretty much dealt with this flank. Valparaiso is likely just going to run towards the other side of the map, and he's got such good concealment that we're going to move over to the middle of the map ourselves. I often talk about not pushing enemy spawns, and the only times I really show it is oftentimes when I'm making a mistake. So here, we're going to go towards the middle of the map and then cut towards our own spawn. I'm not going to push any further into the enemy's spawn here. The enemy team, though, has decided to push up the 9-10 line towards our spawn. And this is a great example of what happens when you push spawns. It just results in crossfires, all right? It's very easy for whatever team that is getting their spawn pushed to just move back a little bit from the flank that they were on and go help. So notice here, our Cur First is kiting away. Sure, you may say, oh, A1 Cur First, doing a poor job, A-line Cur First. But no, this is actually a really good thing. He's creating a crossfire. This incomparable either has to show broadside to him, or he's got to show broadside to me. He's stuck in a bad spot. We're going to use minimap to aim here over this island, as I did not have my spotter plane. And we're going to get another 2 sits. This thing is just so consistent, man. But look at, when you push spawns, it's just easily caught in crossfires like this. And that's why it's such a bad idea a lot of the time. You already have the cap control. They already have control of the 8, 9, 10 line. They could have easily pushed towards B cap, set up on some very strong islands. In fact, getting control of the 8, 9, 10 lines on this map is so crucial to fighting for B in the mid to late game, because those island positions are just so strong at limiting crossfires, funnily enough. But that's not what they decided to do. And that's not just to throw shade on the enemy team. It's just a teaching moment, right? Like, this is a great example of why I'm always talking about this. Don't push spawns. Now, fortunately for us, this game is actually quite close. We don't have a blowout in this one. And sure, the enemy team is up a little bit on ships. We have a few more caps, so we shouldn't be over pushing into them now. Yes, it's great to find those broadsides. But in this case, we don't want to push through this island chain as we can easily get overwhelmed by the enemy's superior numbers. Notice also the Valparaiso pushing back into A. He did not go back like I thought, and now he's got a bit of a cross flank on us. A lot of tactics going on in this game, which I absolutely love. Bungo broadside, and he's flooding by the looks of things, so not too much HP to get through, and we manage it here. Incomp gets his heal off, but fortunately the GK comes in clutch to finish him off. A nice point swing for us, as well as getting us a little closer to even on ships. And unfortunately our destroyer is going to go down here, with the Daring potentially able to YOLO torp me. Vermont is quite agile though, so that's why we're trying to get behind this island. Of course, a destroyer has to lead torpedoes in front of us, and if he pops out this way, he won't be able to lead us as he has the island in the way. That's what I'm thinking about here. His hydro pops, he knows where I am, so I'm still just going to try and turn away from this situation. That's all I'm thinking about, trying to live. Vermont has great torp protection, but we still don't want to eat a ton of torpedoes. Now here I make a massive mistake, okay? In hindsight, it's very easy to call this a mistake. I think I have a justifiable fixation on finishing off enemy carriers, as they tend to go after me a lot, but I should have shot Daring here. Okay, looking back, I just should have shot Daring here. The only way this play works out is if at 20 kilometers, we're able to blind fire Dev Strike a Nakhimov. Otherwise, Nakhimov never gets spotted again, or is more than likely angled or behind an island, and we never get a shot on him again. So this shot has to land. Fortunately, we dodged those torpedoes, and we miss everything entirely. That Daring, by the way, was on 16k HP. Easily within AP Dev Strike range. We just need to hit like 10 shells, something like that. Maybe not easily, but at those ranges, Vermont can hit pretty accurately into destroyers. I don't know if you've noticed this before, but when you're playing a battleship, sometimes it feels like your accuracy is just better into DDs. At least I find that a lot of the time when I shoot destroyers. Somehow everything just tightens up on the dispersion. Now we got to get away from this situation though. Vermont is tanky, but we don't have a ton of HP to be tanking the entire enemy team here. Our Colbert is trying to flank the Valparaiso, which is very good. Our GK is still holding the line on the flank there, but I'm kind of caught in the no man's land middle here. I've overstayed my welcome. And you may be wondering, maybe I should be switching to the GK to prevent that crossfire. But what I'm most worried about is actually the points. We're behind on points, and if this Valparaiso gets this cap, it's going to be a while for us to go in and capture it again. And by then, the enemy team will be way too far ahead on points, as well as kills. So I'm trying to finish him off while avoiding as much incoming damage as possible. 18k into his superstructure, still not enough to outdo his super heal. Colbert getting the flank. FDR is getting some spots for us here, and I'm a little worried that we're not going to quite manage to finish him off, so I'm turning my guns for him here. But I ideally would not like to shoot him again. I'd like to go after the GK, or more importantly, deal with this destroyer or the Minotaur pushing through the middle of the map. And this GK and Colbert and I are going to be the main forces. I mean, having a carrier is nice for spotting, of course, but the three of us are going to have to carry this game out as surface ships. Dealing with Minotaurs is very scary when you're on such low HP like this, so we're trying to angle as best we can while also dealing with all the incoming planes. Should I turn broadside to the Minotaur, potentially daring torpedoes to go after the Kerr first here? Probably not. It's tempting though. He's on our flank, he is a problem. Our GK, I mean, whoever's carrier gets more damage in is probably who's going to win that engagement. But instead of turning like that, I'm focused on where the Minotaur might go next. All right, we get our next heal. Very nice. This is our last heal, by the way. But I'm worried about that Minotaur damage finishing me off too quickly. So that's why I'm just holding. I'm hoping the GK gets taken out, or at least they trade. He's on low enough HP that I think I can afford to do this. And Minotaur plays it smart. There's good players in this game, guys. And the Minotaur waits until he's just behind the island and gets a little cheeky chip damage into me here. A little bit annoying for me, but Minotaur's playing it well. I'm going to try and get a little bit cheeky back and predict him pushing out from behind this island here, using the minimap to aim. Dispersion looks good, and now the carrier's coming in for us. So we pop our defensive fire. It's not going to do a whole lot because Nakamov, right, he gets that immunity time very quickly when he engages his drop. Amazingly, this also happens to dodge the torpedoes, so we're going to stay alive here for a little bit longer. We've been on fire quite a bit, but also it seems like our damage controls have come back relatively quickly too, and that's thanks to this two-pointer skill. It's active a lot in this game because the carrier's on us a lot, but this is the entire reason that I love having this skill so much. Just 2 points on a battleship gets you 40% faster to your consumables when your A is active. Daring barely spotted for a second, and our carrier is going to go over and spot him. And this is a game changer, okay? I think the only reason I am able to get this shot, I think it's just carrier spotting. There's no way that Daring gets spotted otherwise. So we get the Confed, get 6 out of 6 back turrets, and unfortunately for the enemy team and that Daring, well, that's enough to basically tie us on points here. Our Colbert coming in clutch, going after the B cap now. I'm too low to do any of this. I'm just here to try and stall that Minotaur mainly from actually getting some good damage into our Colbert. Trying to help him get to the cap safely. So that's what I'm going to try and do, as well as stay alive. We're going to move to FDR and try and clump up our AA that way. And I'm just going to go for long range pot shots. Keep the Minotaur busy. Constantly thinking about us is the idea here. The reason we also don't want to push aggressively is that I have a lot of points wrapped up in my ship. Caps matter a lot in the late game, but more so it's points. And when you lose a ship on your team, the enemy team gains points and you lose points. So it's a massive swing anytime, point swing, anytime a ship is lost. So that's why we want to stay alive here. It's very sketchy. We're on such low HP, but it's mostly the carrier that can get to us at this point. We're too far from the Minotaur. And it's games like this that I just absolutely love. It's been a while since I've had one like this. There's so many blowouts these days. But close games, down to the wire, decision-making matters. This is the best. This is the best of World of Warships. Getting focused by the carrier, not so much. You know, that Daring dying simply because the carrier flew over him, not so fun. I'm not going to talk about it, but did you guys see that dev blog today or yesterday? They're buffing carriers and nerfing surface ships. Exactly what we didn't want, but of course what we knew wargaming would do. Very sad. Not going to go into it any more than that. As we're having an absolutely great time here in a close battle. Our Colbert manages to get the B cap. I'm still thinking about stalling for that Minotaur, forcing him as far away as possible, helping our Colbert as much as possible. Now the enemy team is still ahead on points, barely, but now that we have the cap advantage, we should overtake. It's the wonderful thing about that mod, top center of your screen, that timer there. Whatever team is bolded, that's who's going to win on points, or it also takes into account the battle timer if people aren't going to get to 1,000 points. And I missed my shot on this Halford. Oh no, I tried to spread it out too much and really just did not lead enough. It's been a little bit since I've played the Vermont, and these shells are not as slow as Ohio, but there's still pretty slow shells at these ranges into a DD. Little better this time. Still trying to spread it out as much as I can. And we clip them with one, getting the Kraken, and massively shifting the points. We were basically tied on points when we got that kill, and now we're like 75 points ahead. That's the point swing I'm talking about here. 180k damage. Our Colbert is securing us this win. And a lot of that was down to our positioning, helping out in the middle of the map, but consider that GK on the flank. All of those broadsides that I got, almost the paid actor broadsides, right? We could say that in the comments. They wouldn't have been forced to choose who they angled to, the GK or myself in the middle, if that GK wasn't there. And that Colbert coming in clutch at the end, as well as just through the mid game there to stall the Valparaiso and get the flanks going. Huge part of the reason that we won this game. Now, it was an E as well, so we always got to enjoy that. Top 1% base XP. And usually I have more of a reason to make a video on a ship than I just felt like playing it today, but that's really what it comes down to. I just felt like playing Vermont, especially after playing the Zarya S BA hovercraft and how unsatisfying that was to find so many broadsides and do such little damage. I needed some brick therapy, you know what I'm saying? And it delivered today. It absolutely delivered. If you're wondering about the build, it's pretty greedy. It's not full greed, okay? I haven't yet dropped fire prevention for Furious, which I do sometimes. That is a very sketchy build to run, but I have tried it, and that extra reload can help you quite a bit. For the most part, though, just having this skill is so nice. I think that's one of the only reasons that I survived in that game. It's not every game that it's like that, but when it comes in clutch, it is so useful, and a lot of the times, you just survive on that skill alone. Although we do have fast cooldown repair parties anyway. It's really that damage control party, waiting for 2 fires mostly, and then once we're on really low HP, then single fire damage controls. And sometimes the planes in your AA actually get you back to that DCP. Now, the other part of the build here is actually using the legendary upgrade. It's probably not as good as just holding my shots and waiting a little bit longer while using concealment. You surprise more people with like 12.6 kilometer detect than 14. And honestly, I think very valid, fair criticism is that I was holding my shots for so long that the legendary mod wasn't even a benefit to me most of the time. I don't know, man. I don't know what to say to that other than the number go up greed DPM part of my brain has taken over, and I actually like this one overall. Taking range simply for the small, slight data mined, you can't tell, but it's technically there, improvement to dispersion, as well as cross shots. Everybody loves a good cross shot from a Vermont too, but I think the turret traverse is a bit of a problem on this ship generally. You might be better off with main battery mod 2 here. It's a great ship, man. It is an absolutely wonderful ship. Great armor here. In fact, we're seeing these days that 51 matters a lot. Things like Ohio, well, 38's getting power crept a little bit these days. There's the Irresistible that's coming to the game. There's a bunch of airstrikes as well. Some of the new Dutch airstrikes pen more than 38 as well. 51 gets you actually some armor against some of that HE that's in the game now, or airstrikes that are in the game now, which is nice. It's a brick though, right? It looks a bit like a brick. That's where the nickname comes from. It's large, it's square, and large superstructure too. So it will still take a lot of damage, but that fast cooldown heal is so nice to have on this ship, and it's surprisingly maneuverable too. It's surprisingly maneuverable. But that's gonna do it for today on Vermont. Just a fun time smashing broadsides. You'll love to see it. Thank you very much for watching, and have a great rest of your day.